Chapter 20, Making the Most Out of a Bad Situation. Come morning, Gregory was up and about, and Julian was there eating breakfast with his father. The kid was also there talking to another fellow, and Caron, unfamiliar with the rooming arrangement, started to roam. And in the morning he saw the decoration of Eddie's little sanctuary, and he had a lot of seashells, corals, and starfishes. And some of the walls were composed from the rocks of the mountain. And following the smell of food, Caron entered the kitchen area, and the person that was talking to Julian was Alec. And he noticed Caron and he said, "Good morning, Caron." "Good morning to you as well, Alec," said Caron, sitting down to eat. "You smell awful," commented Alec. "It's not that bad," said Caron, smelling his clothing. "I will bathe after breakfast." The adults spent their time not talking to one another, but focusing on entertaining little Julian. And Alec regaled Julian with the tale of his quest to find true love. And Alec had become obsessed with his quest after his father, with a foot at doorstep, had sired Gregory. And his father would only become fertile when sleeping with a woman that he was truly in love with. And smiling Alec continued his story. "For you see, Lord Julian, the Dragocestes are descendants of the love dragon Mordred, and whenever Mordred felt love and he loved in return, he grew a heart scale, and Mordred would grow this scale, and then when it got nice and big, he would take this scale and he would give it to his mate as a symbol of giving up one's heart to another." "Ah, so that's what that was, so that's what it is. Tell me, Gregory, and why did you lie about your heart scale?" asked Eric. "Because it's a personal matter," said Gregory shyly. "Do you have a heart scale, Daddy?" asked Julian. And Gregory looked at Caron, uncertain as how to answer the question, and Alex said, "That is a personal matter, Julian, and you should not be telling everyone your father's secrets, and people may not understand, and they might bully him for it." "If they try to bully my father, I will kill them," said Julian, smiling. And to add more weight to his statement, Julian stabbed his scrambled eggs with a knife. "Whoa," said Alec, laughing. "And you're a little young to be talking about killing people. Sheesh, school kids they are pretty scary, aren't they?" "Nobody's bullying your father," said Gregory proudly. "Now eat your vegetables so you can grow big and strong to protect your weak and cowardly father." And Julian grew quiet and somber after hearing Gregory say this, and Gregory's face echoed his son's concern, and he had been too honest with the boy, and it grieved Gregory to hear that his son talking about killing people. And after breakfast, Eric left with Lord Julian. As soon as Eric left, Alex said, "You know, this wouldn't have happened if you had kept using inannies in every battle, and whatever they possess you to head out as your true self and not as Grimory." Gregory turned his head and he could not find a proper answer to that question, and Caron said to Alec, "He was trying to impress a guy he likes, and in hindsight he should have sent flowers or something, like a normal person." "Yes, a normal person would have done that, wouldn't they?" said Gregory sadly. And he started to pick up the plates, and when his back was turned to the guests, he started to wash and dry the dishes, and from time to time a tear would roll down his cheek. And Alec drew near Caron and he whispered, "Normal is one of Gregory's trigger words, and I would avoid it if I were you." Alec got up and he pushed Gregory aside, and Gregory sat down beside Caron, and Caron drew his chair near Gregory to hug him, and Caron was surprised that Prince Alec knew how to wash the dishes. And Caron whispered to Gregory, "If I wanted a normal person, I would have married one of Alyssa's friends." "And when did you two tie the knot?" asked Alec, turning around, and his eyes glowed crimson, and he added in an angry voice, "And you got married and you didn't invite your favorite brother. Gregory, how could you?" And this reaction made Gregory laugh, and Caron smiled, and he said, "It was just a figure of speech, and we have barely been going steady for half a year, and it is a bit too early to talk about marriage." And Gregory then said thoughtfully, "We should marry eventually, if we do not fall out of love, that is. And do you think Leon would approve of it?" "Over his dead body, maybe," said Alec, laughing. "And Leon is way too old and traditional, and if it wasn't for the fact that I asked for my inheritance early, I would have been completely destitute due to my wanderlust ways." "You could always get a day job," suggested Caron. "What would be the fun of that?" asked Alec. "You never know until you try it," said Caron. "You know what? I think I'm going to take you up on that offer. When Eddie returns, I will inform him of my desire to become a guild member," said Alex, smiling. It is a good time, I said. I need to start putting money into the bank before my inheritance runs out. How much money do you have left? Asked Gregory, worried. It is rude to ask that of someone, Gregory, said Alec, avoiding the topic. When Eric returned, Alex said, I need a job. So you finally ran out of money, said Eric, laughing. Nah, more or less. Do you need someone to clean the latrines? Asked Alec. Have you ever cleaned latrines? Asked Eric, like toilet bowls and stuff. I have seen it done before, and it can be too hard with the exception of the smell. But I can cut my nose off if it becomes unbearable, said Alec, giggling. What can you do? Asked Eric. I can do, Alec then started describing all of the techniques and positions he employed in bed, as well as his seduction, as well as his best pickup lines. And Eric, smiling, said, Good, Sofina can make use of you. She can? Asked Caron, surprised. Please, clients tend to shatter more than they should, said Eric, grinning. And then he added, and you can work undercover in the club during tourist season and see what sorts of nonsense those foreigners are up to. Aye, aye, Captain, said Alec, grinning. And Liam always said to me, do what you love and the money will flow. If you think Liam is angry now, wait till he hears that you have become a courtesan, said Gregory, laughing. Alex seemed inclined to want to shout more, but before he realized that Eric returned him to the Sacred Mask Guild, and Eric informed Sofina that they had a new recruit, and Sofina, after looking at Eric over the top, said, You are going to be a listener. A what? Asked Eric, confused. Gosh, listen, why don't you? A listener is someone people pay to hear their complaints, and you must show great empathy and control, and if you do well, the clients will donate money to my orphanage, which generate future guild members, explained Sofina. Now I see the type of racket you are running, said Alec, more to himself. The most important aspect of being a listener is this uniform. Look, I made this tuxedo everyone refuses to wear. So you will sport it for me, said Sofina, holding up a white tuxedo for Alec. And Alec had never seen a tuxedo before, so he found the outfit rather strange. Just that it's like a different dimension type of fantasy world, while Sofina is a vampire for a normal human world. So that's why their fashions, though, are like different and stuff. Since he was now working under the assumption that the Sacred Mask Guild was a madhouse, he decided not to argue with Sofina, and he had gotten into the guild as per Liam's instruction. And Allan had a secondary mission, one unknown to Dragon King Julian. And after dealing with Alec, Eric returned to his hideout, and he saw Caron and Gregory putting away the plates. And Eric drew a bath for Caron, and when the water was hot enough, he said, I drew you a bath, and here's your toothbrush. Caron left for the plain air bath, and the water was pumped from a well, and then it was heated before being sent into the bath. And the bath was green color, and it smelled of different herbs. And Caron felt a bit uncomfortable bathing without any walls. And Eric had gone to tend to his plants and flowers, and while Eric tended to the flowers, he started singing, not words, just the most exquisite, elegant arias. And then Gregory came to the balcony to melancholically contemplate the ocean. And Caron pumped cold, clean water, and he washed himself before entering the herbal bath. And he roosted in the bath, enjoying the blissful sight and the soothing music. And he closed his eyes and he surrendered to the moment, and while he dozed off, he felt two delicate hands around his hair, and it was followed by a cold sensation, and then gentle massaging, followed by warm water. And Caron imagined that Gregory was washing his hair, and the person tending to him was in fact Eric. Eric in the morning had also helped Gregory with his libations, and he had picked out Gregory's outfit and had dressed him and brushed his hair. And Gregory said, Eric, have you ever pondered if things could have been different? I tend not to ponder on what if scenarios. Things are how they are, and there's no reason to torture oneself with the possibility of what might have been. I am alive and safe at the moment, and what more can a person so desire, said Eric, smiling sadly. After hearing the voice, Caron realized that it was Eric who was washing his hair, and Caron was so relaxed by the sensation that he did not protest. And Gregory noted, and you have been wearing your father's secret mask less and less these days. Work keeps me busy, and there are times when I forget to wear it, explained Eric. And your hair has gotten longer, Gregory, and it's already by your shoulders. Would you like for me to give it a little trim? Just the edges, said Gregory timidly. And Eric was about to get to work, but then he noticed that Caron needed a bit of a shave, and Caron allowed Eric to do as he will, and Bron had done Caron's shaving up until a few years ago, so he was used to having someone else take care of his facial hair problem. And when Eric finished with Caron, he went to tend to Gregory, and Eric trimmed the edges a little, and then he tied Gregory's hair with a nice bow before kissing his forehead. And Eric smiled and said, "What do you want to do now, Gregory?" "I think I'm going to watch the ocean a little longer and maybe see if I can get Caron to kiss me a little while he's in the bath," said Gregory. "I just washed my mouth," protested Caron, yawning. "We are allowed to take breaks from this." And then he pretended to fall asleep. Gregory, bored, went to lie down in the bed, and Eric followed along. And Eric then suggested to Eric, "And read me a book or something, anything will do." And Eric looked through the library, and he found an unfamiliar book, and the book was called the Kama Sutra. And Eric opened a random page, and then blushing, he put the book away, and frowning, he said, "I will read you something else." "Read that book to me, Eric, otherwise Allan is going to be sad," said Gregory, teasing Eric. And changing the subject, Eric said, "Did the hair scale appear before you were together or after?" "It started growing before," said Gregory solemnly. If you didn't grow the scale, you wouldn't know if you're truly in love or not," mused Eric. "You are truly lucky, Gregory." "I don't feel lucky. Growing a hard scale doesn't guarantee that the other person's going to love you back. And you can give your heart to another and still get rejected," said Gregory. And he sighed before asking, "Have you ever been in love?" "Yes, there is a woman I love dearly, Bud," said Eric nervously. "But you won't sleep with her," said Gregory. "She says she is willing to wait for me to get better, but I do not think I can find any pleasure in an activity that was always painful to me," said Eric. And he laughed nervously, and then he said, "I do not know why I'm telling you this, and you have enough burdens without me adding more to your own." And Caron had been pretending to be asleep to eavesdrop on the conversation, and he added, turning around, "Has she pressured you? And Alisa used to pressure me a lot, and it was her misguided way of helping me overcome my shyness. And it made most of our engagements quite unsatisfactory. I know it doesn't compare to what you have experienced, but you need to be honest about your preoccupations before she accidentally hurts you." "No, she isn't pressuring me," said Eric flatly. "She just sits there with a patient smile waiting for me, and it would be easier for me to break off the entire affair if she was pushy like other women.